Hi there, YouTube. It's Covered in Paint here with a new episode of Critique Me Not. Yay! So in Critique Me Not, I plan on doing critiqued episodes of my own work, and yeah, it kind of takes the pain off of other people getting that burn of, oh, that's my work, oh, she just tore it apart. Well, instead this time you guys are going to be looking at my work and I'm going to be tearing it apart, and you're welcome to tear apart too. So moving forward, here's a drawing I did when I was 12 years old of, well, if you can't tell by the wonderful drawing and the big eyes and the chin, that's a pizza face, Rikku from Final Fantasy X. And that's her, and you can see that there's really no resemblance, and it's kind of sad. And we're just gonna go over, yeah, like the anatomy of the face. And I've sped this up because I can't talk for 40 minutes, it gets too boring. So we're just gonna roll with it. Anyway, so you can see with the face here, we've got a lot of issues with the anatomy and the structure. The eyes are too large, the nose is that anime point. And here I'm like drawing the circle to correct that pizza face syndrome. And so here, you know, the classic problem is that we don't add a jaw when you do the triangle face. And so I'm breaking down the anatomy here so that you can see the structure a little bit easier. See, if I had broken it down and done the outside first and not the inside stuff, it would come together a lot easier, and I could make fixes to the anatomy before working on the pretty details like the eyes, mouth, stuff like that. So here I'm talking about where the ears connect. You can see that they're at the top of the head on my original drawing. The ears actually connect to the eyes and nose, and depending on if the face is tilted up or down, that changes. This is a pizza face. And that's a sketch I drew earlier that I'm gonna do the inking to, and you can see that I added a lot of personality from the original sketch. Rikku is a really dynamic character. She's really ditzy and fun, and in my portrait you really just kind of get this blank, boring person. So in this new sketch I wanted to show her doing something fun and spontaneous, so we have her dancing. You can see me do the line of action here, and then you can see how the hips and the shoulders are at an angle. Also the arms are at diagonals, so that's really important to like notice. And she's all like, yeah, we're dancing, as opposed to the other one that's just standing there going, yeah, I'm Rikku. And we're gonna keep looking here. So just notice how much the character is brought out by the pose. When I was first drawing, that was definitely not in my thought process at all. So it looks like I'm going to begin inking here. I'm looking for just a normal pen or a brush tool, and I'm going to go for the eyes, and that's okay because I've already done the initial sketch. The underdrawing really helps with the anatomy and getting that all straightened out, so I definitely encourage doing the under sketch first and then tracing over it and then inking it, because that just makes your finished drawing look so much better, and you don't have to worry about making the eyes too big and the rest of the face not work. So I'm moving on to the mouth, and Rikku's mouth's really special because she's got these like gaps in her teeth here, and I don't really understand why she has those, like if she got her teeth knocked out or if she just like had them removed or if they just never grew in, but they're kind of hard to draw because it's not really a natural gap in the teeth. Here I'm drawing her jaw, and this was really important and very missing in the original. It just gives so much more shape to the face and character too. You know, some people have short jaws, they have long jaws, big jaws, skinny. Not as skinny as a pizza face, but hey. So here I am reworking the teeth. I'm going to move her mouth a little bit so that it's at a more natural angle. And I'm going to be working on the eyes. You'll see that the size of the pupil really makes a difference in the emotion and the expression. I just made them black as opposed to the spiral because, as you can see, the spiral is really distracting if you make it too obvious, so it needs to be subtle, and therefore I'm just not going to draw it. Maybe if I was to color it, I would redo the spiral. Right now I'm working on the shape of the brow. Eyebrows are actually really a good character trait to pay attention to because they make a big difference in identifying a character. So studying like people's eyebrows can add a lot of resemblance if you get it right. So here I am working on her ears, and her hair kind of like falls around it, so it kind of cuts off the top. And I'm I'm working on the tips of her hair. I'm really trying to get like thin, smaller strokes so that they don't compete too much with strokes that define her face. And I'm just gonna work it and erase, clean up my lines. Notice I'm working at like 50%. Anything less, you're gonna start to get shaky lines, and you'll see throughout the video I go back and re-ink at a closer distance. So just adding little accessories now, having fun with the hair, trying to give it that liveliness, making sure that in the end the inking looks okay, because sometimes with the sketch it can get muddy, and that's the great thing working digitally, you just turn on and off the layers. If you're working traditionally, it's best to just, you know, look away from it and come back to it, or take the tracing paper off, or turn off the light board, however you're transferring your work. So just touching up the eyebrows and all the lines, making sure the face looks good before I move on to the neck. And here you can see the neck connects to the ears, and I'm going to show you here the muscle actually comes down to the base of the neck. It doesn't actually bend there. That's another fold of skin. So knowing that makes a big difference in how you render a neck, and I was definitely missing that in my original drawing. Moving on to Riku's outfit, she's got these cool goggles, and I really wanted to just capture like the dimension of them. You'll notice I literally just do like glasses on a chain in my original sketch, which is really funny to think of a character this young with glasses on a chain. But anyway, so here I am working the details of the goggle to try to like give it some cool things. As I was drawing this, I was thinking about Rikku and why, like where she got the goggles. She wears them underwater and when she's working on mechanic stuff. And at the beginning of the story, it kind of gives her a mysterious look, but I don't think we ever see her with them on after she takes them off. They're just kind of an accessory, you know, that kind of like main character accessory that anime characters have. So here we go, checking it out, making sure that her portrait looks nice, and just that her base alone, like the neck up, shows motion too. So now I'm capturing her arms and rendering in this like accessory belt thing that I don't know what it does, but it just looks cool, you know. And I wanted to make sure I got the buckle right because it's a unique buckle, and I can just draw a generic one, but just a little more effort and I could draw a different kind that looks more cool. Coming back through here, checking everything to make sure the motion looks good. It's really easy when you're inking a sketch to become a little stiff with your work, and so I'm trying to keep the energy alive here. So now I'm going to be rendering the hand, and the hand that I sketched out wasn't really with reference. I may have glanced at my hand or imagined a hand that worked this way, but I didn't really like how it turned out, the way it was angling, and so you'll see me rework it a bit here. It's kind of funny because I was looking at my own hand for reference, and then I had to twist it in this super awkward way to see it the other way around, and it worked out. I think my second revision of the hand looks much more natural. I don't think it's as dynamic, but again, it still has the motion, it captures the line, and you recognize it better as a hand. The biggest problem here is that my pinky finger is above, when really your pinky finger would be below, and you could see almost the top of the hand at this angle. So here it's almost like she's pushing away with her hand up, but I haven't really left much space for her index finger, and her hand in general just looks really uncomfortable and awkward, not really natural for a dancing position. I guess maybe if she was doing some sort of like push away dance, like get back dude, I'm gonna hit you. So now you can see I'm reworking the pinky as I'm analyzing my hand in real life, and I'm like, oh, this hand part doesn't come down. And so it's really important, yeah, to use reference whenever you can, and it's totally fine to reference yourself, because sometimes you come up with a really particular pose, and it's going to take you forever to find it online. It's just much faster if you take a picture of yourself. So here I am working the fingers. Knowing hand anatomy is really helpful. Drawing hands can be really difficult, so I recommend to all of you to just take a day to just draw hands. Hand Appreciation Day. So here's the other hand. It should be a little easier because it's a more natural hand, but I ended up still having to twist the opposite hand a lot. So now I'm working the thumb. And earlier I was telling this joke about thumbs. When I was a kid, we used to talk about how thumbs curl, and my thumb's like super straight. It never curls. And or it never curls. It's never curled. It's just a genetic thing. But a lot of my friends do have curly thumbs, and I usually draw them with pretty straight thumbs just because that's what my hand is, but I feel like I should try drawing the curl more in thumbs. I think it would be a fun character trait to add. Alright, so her hands definitely look bigger. I was also talking about Rikku having smaller hands. I kind of like that idea. I think small hands are cute, and I wanted to kind of capture that in her. Even though in the reference it looks like her hands are pretty big since they're covered in gloves and cool weapons. You don't really actually see the hand size, but here I'm doing some more like clothing contour lines, and these are really cool because it adds like shape and depth to your work, and it really gives it more of a three-dimensional feel when you add these contours. And it's easy to find them, especially in Final Fantasy characters because they have so many belts and straps and stuff. But an easy one to add is the seam, and it can really make a difference in how clothing appears on a person. So here we are, finishing up here. We've got the seams all together. You can see she's got this motion. A little bit of the movement's gone, but it's still present that she's like dancing. So now we're working on the belt, and I'm working on the buckle there and making sure the belt looks like it's the right thickness going through. I always wanted to wear a belt, not actually buckled around my waist, but just kind of loose, but I feel like they just fall off anyway. Alright, so adding more detail to this character. Notice that the crop point is at her hips, but above her crotch. I said a weird thing, but yeah, that's right, her crotch. So that's a cutoff point for tangents with cropping, and it's really important that you know that. I know when I was first drawing, I never really paid attention to crops, and that turned out to be kind of awkward later. But if you know where the right points to crop are, then you should be fine. When you draw from the inside out, it's really common that you end up making your picture too big and then having to redraw it or just have an awkward crop. So it helps if you draw the outside of the character or do a sketch first before doing all this detail and then realizing, oh, that's an awkward crop. So here I'm doing her little weird buckles on the side of her, and then I'm gonna go back through and do her hair because she's got these cool braids. But we can see I didn't really understand her hair at the time, and it just, I don't know what I just did everything wrong. But her hair actually comes into braids, and I don't really know how you would do this in your life. I guess you would just separate your layers and then pull your hair up and leave some down for braids, but yeah. So here I'm going to redraw this feather because I made it a little too fluffy and it looks really weird. It doesn't seem like it's a part of her hair. So I make that a little smaller. And then to make the feathers look more real, you add like the seam in the center and then add some little lines coming off to show the separation in the fibers. Yeah, it's looking pretty good. So next we're going to do her little pineapple top to her hair. And instead of trying to squish her hair down so it's on the frame, I let it escape the panel and just let it cut out. It adds a little bit more of a framed feeling actually, or I don't know, it just gives it some more dynamics with the idea that it's like she's coming off the page a little bit, but not too much and not too little. Alright, so there's Rikku. Now we're going to be adding some seams to her gloves. See how that gives her hand much more dimension? Yeah, it's really helpful to add those. Her fingers though need to show, so I cleaned that up. Also, I didn't add this here, but if you add nails, that's awesome. That also adds a lot of like shape to the hand. Alright, so I've pretty much finished. I'm just fixing up some details, fixing this eye to be more where I like it, and just appreciating the difference in the overall look. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I hope to do more. Sorry for the late upload. I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do with this kind of like narration and dynamics and stuff of how I want to show me fixing my art. So let me know if you'd like to see them in real time. They're really long though, so I'd have to like figure out how I want to render a really long video. But anyway, I think this was a good amount of time to spend on the video, 15 minutes. So let me know what you think. I hope you guys like this new Critique Me Not. I hope you learned something, and I look forward to showing more of these videos. See you guys next week.